Hi, my name is Candace. I am the founder of Sufficient Grace Social Services, where our mission is to create awareness for the prevention of child molestation, child sexual abuse, child abuse, and neglect, to help children to gain confidence and to find their voice, and also to help find healing from past sexual abuse and other childhood traumas through Christ. Today, I wanted to talk about I actually I'm continuing my um, series on talking about my book. Um, I'm actually gonna go over and read chapter 7. And if I sound unenthusiastic about this, it's because I am. Um, I have to say, chapter 7 is titled "My Husband." Um, And it really should be titled because at the time when I wrote this, I was still married. Um, but since then, we've been divorced. It's been about 5 years now since we've been divorced. Separated for about 6 years. Um, I don't know what's in here. I haven't reread it, so I really don't know. I mean I know the stories because I lived it, but I can't really pinpoint what's in here. I just, my ex husband and I are in a good place at this point. I mean, we're not together, but we're friends and we still have our differences, our ups and downs, but we've worked through a lot of situations that happened before we were married and while we were married. And so although everything that I wrote in here is true, now I think of it in a different context than what I did before because at the time I didn't know why certain things happen in certain ways, and now I do know why. I can't really say why, but I mean, because it's personal, but I understand a lot of things, a lot of different things that I didn't understand before about my ex husband and about myself, really, because at the time a lot of this was going on. I was very depressed. I had a lot of anxiety. I didn't like myself. And so a lot of my insecurities, I kind of um, took out on him, and I know a lot of his insecurities he took out on me, and it was just a bad situation. And I'm kind of sad about the fact that we gave up on our relationship because I feel like if we had gone on, if we had continued it, um, things might have gotten better. I don't know. I I can't really say. But I'm the type of person, I don't believe in divorce, and I didn't want to get a divorce, but the circumstances was it just it happened that way. And so I'm just going to read it. Um oh gosh. This is the longest chapter in the book actually. So let's see. Let's try to get through this, and if I feel like I need to stop. It's about 7 or 8 pages. So if I feel like I need to stop and continue it next week, which I really don't want to do, but I will. So, okay, so I'll just get started. The day I met him is still one of the best days. We met on the bus stop at 119th and Halsted in Chicago. He had just moved back here from living in another state for a while we When we met, we had so much fun on that first day together. And it's so funny because I literally just talked to my ex husband on the phone a few minutes ago, and he brought up the day we met. So it's weird. But anyway, um, he told me about his past and that he was looking for a wife. When I met him, I thought I had met the man of my dreams. I admittedly loved him from day one, and that's true. And I never stopped loving him. The way he approached me was different from any other guy. He just seemed like he wanted to get to know me. And that's one of the things I really respect about him. He never was the type to make me feel like he wanted something out of me, like as far as sex goes. Now, other things we'll see in the book, but um, he never made me feel like he looked at me in like anything other than a respectable young lady, which I was at the time. Now I'm an old lady, but at the time we met, I was 24 and he was 42 or 43, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I really don't want to go through this, but okay, so he just seemed like he wanted to get to know me. I soon realized that wolves come in sheep's clothing. Lord Jesus, I know where this is going. Immediately, I saw red flags, but I chose to ignore them. When he told me about his past, it was sketchy, but I chose to ignore it. One thing had happened that still stands out to me today is that after the first day we met, when we spent the whole entire day together talking and laughing, the next day when I called him, he had no clue who I was. And I'm gonna just say something to that because I've brought that up to him recently. What did he say his reason for that was? I don't even remember, but uh, after telling me after telling him who I was a few minutes, he remembered quotation marks. I ignored that too. I was just so in love. I had convinced myself that he was the one for me. Yeah. Looking back, I think it was because when I met him, he said he was looking for a wife. I thought this was my chance to be married. I held on to that with everything in me because I thought no one would ever want to marry me. Deep. Yeah, that's true. Yep. And I think that was part of the reason, but let me just say, I don't know if I touch on it in here, but my ex husband and I are like, how can I describe it? We're like two peas in a pod. We get along so well when we're getting along. It's like just like the conversation we had today. We have been arguing, um, or having a disagreement, I should say, the past couple of weeks. But today we talked and it was like nothing. And I respect that about our relationship that we always, even though we would have disagreements, we would always get back to being friends. And I really like that about him. I really appreciate that about him. And he's the same way I am. When he's ready to bury the hatchet about something and just let it go, he lets it go. And I'm the same way. I don't like to hold on to stuff. And we just move past it. Sometimes it comes back. It does. But we both can move past things. And I really do like that about him. So after a short time, I started to see the real him, but I tried not to pay attention to things that I was noticing because I wanted to love him. After about a week of knowing him, I was all in. It's true. Who am I kidding? After the first day, I was all in. Yeah. Soon after that, I received a call from the bus driver guy who I had not talked to in months since the day he told me I was lying. I told him that I was in a relationship and he asked me if it was the guy who raped me, and I said no. Then he told me that I needed to break up with him because he and I were supposed to get married. I told him that that was not going to happen and I never talked to him again. Around that same time, I had heard from the guy who raped me, and he had apologized to me for the whole situation and how it happened. And I told him that I forgave him. And that was really weird. Both of those things happened like back to back. Like it was very strange because this was like months after the whole rape situation. I the day I met my ex husband was like 3 months, three even 4 months after this happened, and then these guys just call me out the blue, and it was like, okay, really, okay, well, whatever. Even though I was so in love, I soon realized my future husband was only out for himself and was only looking for me to do things for him. Sorry to say it. When I needed him, he had no interest in helping me with anything at all. Lord Jesus, it's sad to say, but it's true. Although I realized this pretty early, I continued to see him because I thought that I could love him so much that he would realize it and have to love me back. I did everything I could for him because of my past experiences and low self esteem. I was determined to make it work no matter how he treated me. And boy, oh boy, did I regret it. And let me just pause for a second because, like I said, my ex husband and I are friends now. And if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that for years we had virtually no communication with each other up until December of last year. And so that's when he has been consistently in our son's life, consistently in my life. And so um, in my mind, I wanted it to work out. I wanted to get back with him because I felt like the circumstances that we broke up under, we got divorced under, it was at the time when we were together, it was a lot of people in my ear, a lot of people in his ear trying to keep us apart. And I felt like if we have an understanding that none of that is going on now, maybe we can get back together. And so he said no. He doesn't want to get back with me. But in my mind, I wanted it so badly. And just the other day, I was just talking to the Lord as I do. And He reminded me that when my ex husband and I were dating, I wanted to marry him so bad. And the Lord was like, no, that is not your husband. And I'm like, yes, he is. He is my husband. Yes, he is. And the Lord, for like a year, probably, no. Mm-mm. And finally, the Lord gave me what I wanted, and He married me. And then, after everything turned back, because I say the day we said I do was a crap show. And so it just went downhill from there. For years, I was tormented and felt like I was hated, and I just wanted out. I just wanted out. Like I couldn't take it. I was having anxiety attacks. I'm gonna read a. I mean, I'm gonna talk about it in here, but and I just wanted out. And finally, I was out of this terrible marriage, and here I am now thinking, man, if I could just have another chance with him, you know. And the Lord was like, I didn't want you to marry him in the first place. You got out of the marriage and now you want him back? And I thought to myself, oh, like you literally you tried to save me from all this heartache. And I was watching one of my favorite pastors, Pastor Michael Todd, and he and I watch his sermons every week. And um, this particular day, because I only watch him like maybe 15 minutes at a time, but this particular day last week, he was talking about how God tries to keep us from things, and if we keep asking for it, He will give us what we want to show us that it's not right for us. And I was like, dang, dang, that just it hit my heart because I knew that was me and my ex husband, and it's like, man, dang it, it's like, wow, I know it, but something inside of me just felt like, man, maybe it could work out, but I think I'm over that now. That was kind of like a wake up call. It's like, man, if I was to marry him again, even though, I feel like marriage is forever, you know, nothing has changed. He's still the same person, and I would literally be getting myself into it knowing that it would not be good. And I would have no one else to blame but myself. So I need to really get over that. So even though I was so in love, I soon realized, okay, I read that part. Uh, let's see. Although I realized it pretty early on, I continued to see him because I thought I could love him. Okay, I read that part. Um, okay. So when we first got together, I told him that I wanted to wait until I was married to have sex. He said he was okay with that. He soon made a liar out of me because we were having sex within the first 2 months. I justified it because I figured we were going to get married anyway. Things turned out, things turned from okay to pretty bad early on in the relationship. I would say within the first couple of months. It was about June when we had met in April. When we first met, I was not driving, so I would take the bus out to his house where he lived with his parents, his father and stepmother. I would go there to see him or just bring him money. When then I get on the bus and go right back home. He lived out in the south suburbs and I lived in Chicago. It was about a 90-minute trip both ways. He became mentally and verbally abusive right away. Oh, yes. And yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I took it from him because I thought I could not do any better. And he did tell me that he would marry me, but he never told me he loved me. Never, ever. The first time I really realized that he did not care about me was our first Christmas together. Oh, Lord. When my daughter was spending the Christmas with her dad, I did not want to be alone, so I asked him if I could stay at his house with him and his family, which I knew his family. Very nice people. I would go over there all the time anyway, and his mom told me that I was invited to Christmas, but I could tell that he did not want me to be there. He told me I could stay anyway. The whole time I was there, he treated me pretty badly in front of his family. He ignored me most of the day on Christmas Eve. It was okay because I just hung out with his stepmom who I love to be around. About 11 a.m. after a night of drinking and smoking with his family, he came into the room with an attitude and I immediately no, admittedly had one too, an attitude, but I was in bed half asleep. We got into an argument, and I did not know what he told me. Wait, we got into an argument about what, I don't know what, and he told me to leave his house. He got all my things together and pushed me and my stuff out the front door. It was about 3 a.m. Oh, yeah, I remember this. Christmas morning, and I had come there on the bus. I had been in bed, almost asleep, so I was still in my bed clothes. I had to go to the bus stop and wait for the bus at 3 a.m. Christmas morning. And if anybody knows about buses, they don't run on holidays that well. So I waited there a long time in the cold. And the night before, let me see. Oh, yeah, I talk about it in here. The night before had been an ice storm, and no one had salted yet. So I slid all the way there to the bus stop. It was a long walk, but I finally made it there to the bus stop, and I checked to see when the bus was coming. It was not scheduled to come till 7 a.m. I didn't even get a chance to use the bathroom before I left, and I had to use it so badly. I felt cold, sad, and stupid. While I was waiting for the bus, I kept trying to call him, and he never answered, and he eventually turned his phone off. I turned my phone off after a while, too, to save power. Throughout the early morning, I saw cars sliding in the street until the salt truck eventually came past. Even though the bus was scheduled for 7 a.m., it did not arrive till about 9 a.m. So from 3 in the morning to 9 in the morning, because it was Christmas Day and there was a sheet of ice everywhere. For hours, I sat there too embarrassed to call anyone for help. I was sad and sorry. I got home around noon, and after a nap, I called him to tell him about the whole ordeal, and he did not even care. He did not even care. Like, he didn't care. He did not apologize, which he never does. And neither did he think he did anything wrong. I just forgave him and went on with the relationship. Yeah. That kind of sums up our relationship right there, actually. It sums it up right there. I laugh, but it was hard. It was hard, and as I can see, I'm not gonna get through this now. But I'm gonna read another page or so. Oh, Lord Jesus. Another time when I realized that I did not mean much to him was a couple of months later. I had gotten a car. I went over to his house and we spent the day together. Later on, I was leaving and my car stopped down the street from his house. My cell phone had died as well. And at the time, payphones, oh, wait, let me see. At the time, payphones were still around. So I found one and called him and told him what happened. His response was, I'm about to go to the store with my mom, and he hung up on me. Yeah, um, I had to call my brother to come all the way from Chicago and help me. I felt humiliated telling my brother why I needed help. I stayed with him, but I knew then I could never ask him for help with anything. There were so many situations that should have been a deal breaker for me. So many times I should have walked away. I had never let any guy ever treat me this bad before, but I was determined to make it work. One day, about a year into the relationship, he called me and asked me to bring him some money. So I did, but when I got there, he was not home. His father was there and he buzzed me in. They lived in a condo. When I got up to the house, he told me that his son had just left with a friend. I said to him, I don't know why he would have me come all the way for no reason. And his response was, I don't even know why you're still with him. This is what his dad told me. I did not have an answer for that because I didn't know either. Also, because I knew that, wait, also because I knew that any reason I would come up with would sound completely dumb. Like, what would you say to that? Like, this person is totally dogging you, and it's like his own dad sees how bad that he's treating you. And what can I say? Like, I just like, okay, well, when you see him, can you let him know I was here? Like, I had no explanation. I remember his stepmom telling me one day as we were sitting and talking that he had told her that he could do anything to me and I would never leave him. At the time, I was insulted to hear that, but it was true. It was true. We dated on and off for a little over 2 years. I was starting to think that he was not going to marry me, although he kept saying he would. The truth was, I was doing everything for him, giving him money, sex, and all of my attention. Why would he have to marry me? I was getting so tired, I started pressing him a little. One day, I was sitting at home sick with my daughter on a Sunday, which I usually go to church on Sunday. Um, and we had some kind of virus. This was before, COVID, but man, it was like a terrible flu that was going around. And my daughter and I was really sick. And he had a job at the time, my ex husband, which was my boyfriend at the time. And I was still getting up, coming out to his house in the south suburbs to take him to his job in the south suburbs. And I was sick. Oh my gosh. All right, we had not gone to church that day because we felt so bad. While we were home, there was a knock at the door. When I went to see who it was, it to my surprise, it was a woman that I had seen maybe a handful of times. She was a good friend of my boyfriend's stepmother. I asked her what she needed, thinking she wanted a ride because she lived in Chicago, which I had given her before. She told me that she was there to talk to me about my boyfriend. Oh, Lord. She went on to say that she had been dating him since before I met him and he was cheating on her with me. Had to get that right. I was confused. The first time I had met this woman was a couple of weeks after I started dating my boyfriend at his stepmom's church, where I had come over, where I was introduced to her as his girlfriend. A couple of times when I had come over, she was there, but I did not think anything of it because I was told that she was a family friend, which she was. She was my ex husband's stepmom's friend from church, and I had met her. Like, it was no big deal. Now here she was telling me I was the other woman. Like, okay, like you knew me for like over a year. We have been together for 2 years at this point, and I'm the other woman. Okay, like how you knew about me? Like, like if anything, you're the other woman because I knew nothing about your relationship with him. You knew we were together, but anyway. So, all right, where was I? How much time? Okay. Yeah, I don't want to go too far over. Now, here she was telling me I was the other woman. And she had a plan for us to both confront him about what he was doing. I was having none of it. I brought up the fact that she had never said anything, even when I was introduced to her as his girlfriend. She had no answer for that. She just wanted me to go along with her plan. I kindly thanked her for the information and I said I was going to speak to him about it. Then I closed the door while she was still trying to talk to me. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get in cahoots with you. What are you talking about, lady? I immediately called him and told him what had folded, and he said it was all a lie. So I asked him whether or not he had any involvement with her at all. And at first he lied. I kept pressing him about it and he hung up the phone on me. Then I called his mother, his stepmom, and asked her if she knew that he was involved with her. Now wait, how come she did not tell me? Her answer was that it did not have anything to do with her. That hurt me more than what he did because I thought she and I were close. But understandably, that was her friend too. And that's her stepson. So I can understand now that she didn't want to be involved. He eventually admitted to being sexually involved with her off and on during our relationship. But he said that he had cut it off with her and that is why she was doing what she did. I was stupid and I believed him, I told him, I told him it was time to make a choice. Either marry me or leave me alone. Basically, that's what I told him. Even though he told me he was looking for a wife when I met him, I soon realized he was stringing me along. After all that happened, I was ready to walk away, and I fully expected him to walk away also, but instead he married me. And I think that's a good place to end this for today. Because it's still like a page and a half, like maybe 4 pages. But anyway, I'm gonna end it there because that's a lot to digest, really. Um, hmm. Yeah. So, like I said, I haven't even gotten to the marriage part yet, but our relationship was a crap show. It was bad, but I had no self confidence. I did not love myself. I always look for love from other people. I always look for um what's the word? I can't even think of the word. But I looked for validation. That's the word I was looking for in other people about myself when really because I didn't like myself. So I figured if other people like me, I know I say this a lot, then I must be an okay person. And so this is how our relationship will go. And I have to say it hasn't really changed. It's changed because he's not as angry as he used to be. Well, he's not angry at all anymore. Thank God. So it's like, you know, a lot has changed in our friendship because we're not together. But, you know, one thing that always was the same and is now, when he needs me for something, he's nice to me. And when he doesn't need something, then he's not mean. It's just that he's on to the next. And that basically, I feel that that's using a person when you do that 100%. You know, and for a long time, I took that as love. When he's nice to me, oh, he loves me. And then when he's mean to me, it's like, oh, but I'm holding on to the fact that he was nice to me and he loved me. And it's like, well, is that love? Is it really? Because, like I said, he never told me he loved me. Like, he would, and I think I talk about this in the book, but he would tell his family he loved them, all the time. He's on the phone with them. And I'm like, one time I told him that I loved him, and his words were to me, this was early on in our relationship, he don't have feelings like that for people that quickly. And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for him to feel it. 7 years of marriage. I guess he just never felt it. I laugh, but it's not funny. It's really pretty sad. But like I said, I'm gonna end it there. It's a lot more to unpack in our relationship, but I have to say, like I was saying in the beginning, I really don't want to harp on it because I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about me, and I've learned a lot about what I will and won't accept from people. And I have to say that I really value our relationship because he helped me to see those things that are just like deal breakers now. I won't accept that from anybody. Not just a man that I'm in a relationship with or pursuing, but nobody. It's like I see the signs now. And so um like I always like to end every video. If you know of a child, or if you are a child, don't watch this. But if you know of a child, or if you are a child that's being sexually abused or any type of abuse, please call 911, your local law enforcement agency, or 1-800 for a child, or your local child abuse hotline, because every state has their local child abuse hotline. And if you're an adult who has been sexually abused or any type of abuse, and you've lived through this as a child, or even if you're going through it today, I urge you to find somebody to talk to about it. And if you're going through it today, find someone that can help you out of that situation, because it's very important that you don't stay in an abusive relationship. And even if it's just emotional abuse or verbal abuse, that's still abuse, and it's working on you on the inside. You might not have physical scars, but those emotional scars, they can hurt just as badly. So I urge you to find a way out. Get out of that. You're worth getting out of an abusive relationship. You are worth it. Whether you believe it or not, I'm telling you, you are. And with that, I thank you for joining me today and going on this little journey through my book of becoming me. And I will see you in the next one. Be blessed.